I want to start by talking a little bit about the future with AI and technology and how that impacts the world, inflation, deflation. Mark, we were talking about this at lunch. I hope we didn't take away the spontaneity of that discussion because it was good.
Yeah, it's something I spend a lot of time thinking about, but more importantly, it's a lot of time I spend a lot of time using.
Yeah,
So the first thing that we talked about when you came in is like, Jason, come over here and look at what I'm doing.
it was amazing. The outlines, the brainstorming that you're doing with ChatGPT.
Yeah. And the wearable technologies that I'm using, so the AI wearable technology. So it starts with AI wearables, which no one even knows what that is. And then how do we utilize that and put that into different workflows? Something that I'm trying to teach a coaching program that I have, which is a wealth building program. But I'm teaching people how to use it for strategic thinking. And everybody falls to this lower level where they're like, well, show me how I can get it through my emails and show me how I can write these memos for me. And I'm like, would you stop it with the emails? You can hire someone for $7 an hour to do that.
That's
We
easy. Yeah,
we can literally get it to
right.
double your business in 12
Yeah.
months.
Well, you had a speaker about this at the ranch event I went
Yeah.
to, when we were at your ranch outside of Austin, Texas. He really brought in the idea of using AI for strategic thinking,
Yep.
right? That's kind of a whole new level. People aren't using it that way very much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not. Something I spent a lot of time thinking about as I've been using it more and more. I had Tom Bailu from Impact Theory on here last night. We spent a lot of time thinking about this as well. And I think there's a lot of big misconceptions. And I know you want to talk through a couple of those, like, we'll get rid of all the jobs.
Right.
Uh,
Unemployment.
but I
It's
think one of the
scary.
big misconceptions that we have right now is that AI is going to make everybody smarter, more capable, more efficient. And I think that's absolutely false. And I think it's going to exaggerate current problems that we have today, and it's going to make them even worse. And what am I talking about? Specifically, the divide between the rich and the poor, the have and have, is going to get worse.
So the wealth gap grows because some people have the tools and others don't. I mean, over the course of the last 30 years, it's been the digital divide, but AI will just amplify that.
But it hasn't been the
It's
digital
easy.
divide, Jason. America used to have a massive middle class.
Mhm.
And the story goes that the middle class got hollowed out because we sent our jobs overseas. And what are those jobs? Those are manufacturing jobs. And what happened is in the industrial era, we created mechanized machines and factories, which then led to people moving to cities. And you had Henry Ford created the assembly line. And so what you had is you had this assembly line that created this massive populace of smart and dumb people working evenly.
Right.
So it made dumb people smarter and smart people dumber, and they worked evenly. So you had this massive middle class. But as we moved from the industrial age to the information age, it wasn't the digital age, really, it was the information age. And so that means that knowledge workers were able to then start getting ahead. And some people are just smarter than others.
Yeah.
Some people work harder than others. And so what happens is those tools allow those people to get ahead. And so, yes, we did ship a lot of jobs overseas, but those were low paying jobs.
Yeah.
Back to AI. Now, I haven't figured it out yet, but I'm kind of thinking it's like now we're going from the information age to the intelligence age.
Mhm. That's interesting. Yeah.
The intelligence age. And what happens is technology is a tool that allows us to become more efficient. But we can use a screwdriver to scrape paint.
Yeah.
I can use a screwdriver as a weapon. I can use it to fix a car. If I took my car to the local mechanic shop with every pro tool and diagnostic piece of equipment in there, I couldn't fix the car any better because I
Mm.
don't know how to fix a car.
Right.
And so we now have this AI, which is almost like this exoskeleton. It's like human augmentation, but most people aren't geared, prepared, or will know how to use the tool.
Yeah, so you're reminding me of quite a few things. Number one, my woodshop teacher in 8th grade,
Okay.
okay? Because he would always make us do things by hand, sand the wood block by hand, right? He says, if you use the machine, you're just gonna make the mistake faster, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I thought that was an interesting point. But we've seen the power shift, and I remember Alvin Toffler writing about this years ago. He was a futurist, and we've seen the power shift from the idea of the mainframe computer to the desktop computer, giving everybody democratizing access to information processing. But now we are at a whole nother level with the artificial intelligence tools. And so, in a lot of ways, that democratizes things because everybody's using it.
No. Well, they're not using it properly. So let me give an example of this. Benjamin Franklin said it doesn't make any. Actually, I think maybe it was Einstein who said this. One of those two said it. Maybe it was Einstein, and he said it doesn't make sense to fill your head with a bunch of facts that could be looked up in a book.
Yeah.
And now we have them at our disposal here. Google, which came out in what, 1997, changed the game, right? Now we can look up anything in an instant, right?
Right.
But yet today, I have like a high ticket coaching programs. People pay me to coach them through, wealth and things like that. I was on one of my coaching calls and people just asked the worst questions, Jason. And I literally had to stop. And I said, listen, guys, listen, everybody. You guys have paid me a lot of money to get on and coach you. Don't waste time asking me questions that you can just Google.
Mhm.
How many times have you heard people asking questions or being stumped by a piece of information they could just Google?
Yeah.
And have you thought to yourself, why wouldn't you just look that up on Google? They don't think that way. And so now we have AI, which is 10 times, 100 times more powerful than Google, but they don't even know to ask Google. You think they're going to know the right question to ask on AI? And what I tell people is the quality of your life comes down to the questions that you ask.
Oh, I couldn't agree.
And majority of people ask very poor questions, very vague, very general questions, or they don't even know to ask them.
Right.
So it's like this. Look, because I have a lot of experience in marketing, I can ask very specific marketing questions. Hey, help me nail down the avatar. My avatar is this. I'm looking at these 3 pillars. I want to tie content to it, right? Because I understand that. Now, someone else who doesn't know marketing can't ask that question. But what they could do is they could say, hey, I want to become a world-class marketing expert. Teach me to become that. Run me through a quiz. Tell me what the 3 levels of a funnel are or awareness are. But they don't even know to ask that question.
So that's where it becomes a thinking tool, okay? And we've talked about, how to use AI, and I'm happy to talk about that more. But what I definitely want to get to is the inflationary and deflationary outlook and the unemployment. Look, and I'll just give you something to chew on there, right? Elias Howe invented the sewing machine, okay? And amazingly, there were huge concerns around that by women. What will women do with all their spare time? I think they figured it out. And if you look at the stats on jobs that have been lost due to technology, there's literally only one job that has disappeared because of technology: elevator operator. We do it yourself. We push our own buttons in elevators almost all the time. So everybody kind of retooled and retrained and figured out how to do a new job. But with AI, it's just such a leap. It's not like the Uber driver is going to become an AI programmer, right? When AI takes away all those jobs. The other night, just last week, I rode in a self-driving Waymo in San Francisco. I did that before in Phoenix. It's incredible. I mean,
Better than with a driver.
yeah, and transportation is one of the biggest jobs in the world. All the drivers for all the deliveries and all the taxis and all the Ubers and the Lyfts and all that kind of stuff. So what happens here? I mean, what will be the new jobs these people get when their jobs are destroyed?
Well, so the way that technology works and really the way economies are supposed to work is by improving efficiency.
Yep.
Because what we want as humans is we want leverage. We want more output for less input.
Yep.
So we create a tool. I'm not that strong, so I make a tool to make me stronger. I can't lift that much, so I create a tool to make me lift more, right? And so what economy does is supposed to create that leverage for us, that efficiency. And technology does those things. Now, if we go back to sort of what I think is maybe the first technological sort of boom before the big industrial revolution, you had the power loom. We could make tapestries
Right,
faster.
sure.
And you had a group of people known as the Luddites who went and burned all the looms because they were afraid it would take their jobs.
Right.
And it did take their jobs. Then in the Industrial Revolution, 1778, and we had the first mechanized machines. And now you had machines, because at the time it was all farming, and you had machines that could do the work of 5,000 men.
Yeah.
But what do those 5,000 men do? Well, in the beginning, nothing. They're out of work. Eventually, they do science and medicine. And so every new technology, it's creative destruction, does destroy the old technology. It's what happens. But it also creates a new set of jobs. So what happens is technology, again, is supposed to give us leverage. So it's supposed to get rid of low-level tasks so we can go work on higher value tasks.